The story begins on a serene day at the beach, where a young boy named Nicholas was enjoying a swim in the clear blue waters. As he paddled closer to the shore, something strange caught his attention. Lying in the sand was the motionless body of a small child, accompanied by a starfish. Startled by the sight, Nicholas quickly rushed home to tell his mother, Sylvia, who was busy preparing food in the kitchen. Bursting through the door, he tried to explain what he had seen. "Mom, there's a child on the beach. I think they drowned," he said, his voice trembling. Sylvia, however, dismissed his claims, assuming he must have been mistaken. "You probably imagined it," she replied, continuing her task without much concern. Haunted by the vision, the boy began sketching the scene in his notebook. Each drawing was a vivid attempt to capture the unsettling memory. He hoped it might help him make sense of the situation or at least preserve what he saw. One afternoon, his friends invited him to join them in their peculiar pastime, burying the carcasses of animals they found washed ashore. While digging, Nicholas shared his troubling story about the child's body. His friends were skeptical, teasing him for what they thought was just his imagination. At home, Sylvia noticed the drawings her son had been working on and quickly hid them, concerned by his growing obsession. Trying to divert his focus, she handed him some medicine, insisting he take it. When he hesitated, asking why he needed it, she replied with a vague reassurance, "It's just to keep you healthy." Eventually, she agreed to take him back to the beach to investigate. Together, they searched the shoreline. This time, the only trace of what he had seen was the same starfish lying in the sand. Determined to find the truth, Nicholas dove back into the water to search for the body. However, the figure he remembered was gone, leaving him even more confused. As days passed, life returned to a semblance of normalcy. But during another swim, he cut his hand on a sharp piece of coral. Sylvia rushed him to the hospital, where a nurse named Stella treated his wound with care. That night, as he lay asleep, Sylvia left the house carrying a lantern, her destination shrouded in mystery. She met with other mothers from their seaside community, all of whom gathered near the water. Together, they carried the lifeless body of a child. Strangely, whispers among the women suggested it was Nicholas's body they held. The following morning, the boy returned to the beach. As he played with the starfish once again, his friend Frank arrived and began teasing him. "Still scared of starfish?" Frank mocked. Irritated, Nicholas confronted him, leading to a heated argument. Eventually, Frank's mother came to retrieve him, leaving Nicholas alone. While holding the starfish, something strange occurred. Blood began to drip from his nose without warning. Sylvia, noticing this, hurried over, took the starfish, and placed it in a container, urging him to eat and rest. Concerned for his health, she took him back to the hospital the next day, where the doctor recommended he be admitted for further observation. During his stay, Stella, the nurse, tried to comfort him. She noticed his drawing book and asked to see it. At first, he was reluctant, clutching it protectively. Stella promised to keep his sketches a secret, and with some persuasion, he handed it over. Inside were detailed images of animals, buildings, and vehicles, along with haunting depictions of what he had seen on the beach. When the time came for surgery, Stella stayed by his side, counting softly to distract him as the doctor prepared the anesthesia. The procedure was focused on his navel, and despite his fears, Stella's presence helped him remain calm. While this unfolded, the mothers of the community were engaged in a ritual near the water. They gathered around a feast of sea creatures, their behavior unusual and unsettling. Stranger still, they were all entirely naked. After the operation was completed, Nicholas woke up in a hospital room filled with other children. Each of them had undergone similar surgeries. The atmosphere was somber, with a faint hum of medical equipment in the background. Some of the children showed their stitched stomachs, and Nicholas, observing them, concluded that they had all been operated on because they were sick. Nearby, the medical staff gathered, engrossed in a video of a cesarean operation. Meanwhile, Nicholas stared out of the window, lost in thought, as if searching for answers in the vast world outside. Later, one of his friends proudly showed off his stomach scars, prompting Nicolas to believe that the surgeries were part of their recovery. Curious and restless, he left the room and followed Stella, the kind nurse who had been taking care of him. However, he was startled when Sylvia arrived unexpectedly to take him home. Back at the house, Nicolas once again encountered the starfish, its presence as mysterious as ever. Sylvia handed him his usual medicine, urging him to take it. That night, unable to shake his curiosity, he visited Victor, his friend, hoping to convince him to come to the beach. Although Victor initially agreed, he changed his mind along the way. Nicolas, undeterred, continued on alone. At the beach, Nicolas witnessed something strange. The mothers, including Sylvia, were naked and seemed to be engaged in a bizarre ritual involving a fetus. They appeared to revel in an otherworldly sense of pleasure, their actions both mesmerizing and unsettling. Shocked, Nicolas returned home and pretended to sleep. From his bed, he heard Sylvia open the door and later saw her taking a shower. To his horror, he noticed tentacle-like appendages on her back. His unease deepened, and the questions in his mind multiplied. The next day, Sylvia brought him back to the hospital, where the doctor examined his stomach and detected a heartbeat. The revelation led to Nicolas being readmitted. In the hospital room, Victor confided in him, claiming that the nurses were lying and that none of them would recover. Elsewhere, Stella was seen transferring 3 fetuses into a jar filled with water. She also tended to Victor, who appeared frail and weak. It seemed likely that the doctor was planning to remove a fetus from Victor's stomach. Stella carefully stored the jar in a special room, her actions precise yet unsettling. When Nicolas woke up, he found Stella looking at a painting he had drawn. She encouraged him to keep drawing, handing him a fresh set of crayons. Inspired, Nicolas sketched a merry-go-round, immersing himself in his art. Later, a nurse announced that Victor had recovered. To celebrate, Victor gave shells to the other children, telling them to keep the shells as mementos. The mothers visited their children, bringing food and attempting to lift their spirits. Back in his room, Sylvia found Nicolas's sketchbook and flipped through the pages. One drawing, in particular, caught her attention. When Nicolas tried to take the book back, she refused, leading him to blurt out, "You're not my mother." Shortly after, Nicolas was taken back to the operating room. A sedative was administered, and he drifted into a strange dream where he found himself in a dark, gloomy sea. Upon waking, he was surrounded by his friends, who revealed that a nurse had taken one of his drawings. They speculated that their mothers were no longer who they claimed to be. His nose started bleeding again, and as he recovered, he noticed water trickling down the wall of his room. Meanwhile, the medical staff continued to watch the cesarean operation video with unwavering focus. Stella returned and encouraged Nicolas to draw once more. They worked side by side, creating art together. When Stella handed him a drawing he had made earlier, a portrait of a woman, his nose bled again. Calmly, she wiped away the blood. An ultrasound revealed that the heartbeat in his stomach persisted. Stella then took him to a room and shared a chilling secret. She showed him photographs of people with tentacles on their backs, including herself. Taking him to the beach, Stella revealed her own tentacles and invited him to swim. As they entered the water, Nicolas lost consciousness. Stella managed to bring him back to shore and revived him. When he woke, he recounted a vivid dream where a starfish crawled across his stomach. Shaken but awake, he left the room and found Victor, who warned him that the situation was worse than they imagined. Victor suddenly vomited blood, leaving Nicolas in shock. Wandering into another room, Nicolas discovered a small boy encased in a water-filled tube. Before he could investigate further, a nurse caught him and took him back to the operating room. This time, the doctor planned another operation on his stomach. When Nicolas regained consciousness, he found himself inside a tube, with fetuses floating near his navel. His attempts to break free were futile, as his hands and feet were tightly restrained. In the final moments, Stella took him to the beach once more. She helped him swim away from the island, guiding him to a small boat. When he woke up, Nicolas was drifting alone on the ocean. As the waves carried him, he approached a harbor and his future was uncertain. Did you enjoy the recap? Please like and subscribe. and hit the notification bell to be updated next time we drop. Thanks for watching.